just woken up to the power of advertising your business on ITV1, haven't we, madam?
For your regional business pack, call Carlton Sales.
Spatulas at the ready for another culinary challenge on Out of the Frying Pan tomorrow at 2:30. This is ITV1 Carlton for Central England.
It is open. The M6 toll road around Birmingham starts taking cars and cash. We're there as the toll booths open for business. We join the first drivers making motoring history and bring the best pictures from the big occasion from above and below. I'm Jonathan Ray, and Central News is live in Staffordshire as Britain's first toll motorway gets into gear.
And here in the studio, this is Joanne Malin and Bob Hall.
Also tonight, terror suspects appear in court on firearms and explosive charges.
And the wild man of rock is on a ventilator after a quad bike accident.
Good evening. It was planned almost a quarter of a century ago. It prompted one of Britain's longest public inquiries, and it has cost very nearly £1 billion. But today, ahead of schedule, at 10 o'clock this morning, Britain's first toll motorway, the M6 toll, was opened. Well, Central News has been providing team coverage throughout the day, and we start tonight with Steve Keeling, who was there as the barriers finally went up.
We may have beaten them at rugby, but French drivers were among the first to take advantage of Britain's newest road. There was an air of celebration, or was that relief, as the 27-mile motorway opened for business shortly after 10 this morning. After all the years of planning and construction, after the millions of pounds that have been spent, after all the controversy, all the rows and all the disruption, the M6 toll road is now open, it's here, and it's here to stay. It's been a long and winding road that stretches back 20 years. Planners have always wanted to build what is in effect a relief road for the M6. It's taken £500 million of private money alone over the last 2.5 years. Total spending touches £900 million. Operators remain confident it'll do what it's meant to, lighten the load on the overused M6.
What we will see, I think, is that the M6 toll will build its traffic slowly over a period of time. Traffic will come off the M6 and then it will quieten the local roads approaching the M6, so I think there are benefits all round.
And this could be the shape of things to come. If a toll motorway works in the West Midlands, it'll be copied elsewhere.
Most people would expect the government to look ahead, see how we can better use the road space we've got, and then decide the best way of providing motorists with better choice, so we've got less congested roads.
Yeah, it's a culture shock. In Italy, it's not anymore a culture shock, but I believe that as long as you had capacity, giving more choices to drivers, you are not creating problems to them.
The M6 toll is still only partially open. Access today is mostly for local traffic from Tamworth, Lichfield, Sutton Coldfield, Brown Hills and Cannock. All being well, it'll be fully accessible from the M42 and M6 by the weekend. Then, apart from the fee, drivers must treat it as any other motorway.
The rules are the same, the highway code is the same. The only difference is this is a road that's maintained privately and people have to pay a toll to actually use it. That's the only difference.
The first lesson learnt today: everyone has to pay no matter how posh your car is, and left-hand drive will be a bit of a pain. Steve Keeling, Central News.
Well, he might have had a few problems at the toll booth there, but the hope for the rest of us is that come Monday, there might just be some relief from the horrors of congestion on the M6. We'll have to wait and see. But let's turn the clock back, first of all, to very early this morning when it was even colder than it is now, and motorists were queuing to venture onto that brand new tarmac. With them was our reporter, Marcus Bennett, and he reports now on the first motorists to use Britain's first toll motorway.
Well, in just under 2 hours' time, Britain's first toll motorway actually opens. We're here at junction T7, which is where you get on from Cannock. Now, there are still several workmen here adding the finishing touches, and there's already a queue of motorists who are eager to use the new road.
I personally have been waiting for it for 25 years. It's finally here, and we want to be first.
Is it worth sitting in the cold?
Yeah, to be the first one on it.
Well, after an agonising wait, we were given the OK to drive down from the slip road and join the new M6 toll. Well, almost after 3 years, the new M6 toll road is finally open, and we're one of the first to actually drive down it. At the moment, it's relatively quiet, but that's because it's only open to local traffic. But the real test will come on Friday when the motorway is open. We were watched by spectators on every bridge we went under. It looks like any other motorway, but what makes this different is a toll booth, and this is where you have to dig deep into your pockets. Morning. Yes, please. Once through the toll, the motorway then goes as far as the M42 at junction 8 and junction 4 at the M6. Well, I've just pulled off for my junction, signposted for Birmingham. It's been a pretty smooth ride, no hiccups so far. As for the traffic, it's hard to say at this time of day, but I haven't had to contend with Spaghetti Junction, of course, and for the privilege of that, I'm now £2 lighter.
Well, like everybody else, Marcus will have got a certificate for handing over his £2. It is a flat fee, no matter how far you go on this motorway, but of course, the bigger your rig, the deeper you dig. Here are the prices. For a motorbike, you'll pay £1 to use the M6 toll. Cars pay £2. Van drivers have to cough up £5, but that figure then doubles for lorries, which will be charged £10. Do bear in mind, though, that all of those charges will rise by £1 after the first 10 million vehicles have gone along the M6 toll. Well, it's hard to say just when that will happen. Expressway, who manage it, have been a little coy today, but I think they're secretly quite pleased with the initial response. Somebody who got a perfect view of how much traffic was on here today was my colleague Mark Goff, who was up in the Central News helicopter, and he reports now on the M6 toll and its bigger brother from high above our Midlands motorway network.
It'll be a long time before you see this again, a completely deserted M6 toll, just minutes before it opened. And then, through the early morning mist, motoring history in the Midlands was made. 1 minute the road was empty, and the next, a police escort guided the first of thousands, perhaps millions of motorists to use the M6 toll. Then the first of them snaked through the automatic pay booths, the first to perhaps experience a hassle-free journey through the Midlands. Of course, the whole point of the M6 toll is to ease congestion on the M6 itself. It wasn't running too badly today, but as many of us know, when the M6 is bad, it's really bad. 160,000 vehicles use it every day. It was only ever designed to carry 90,000. A plane towing a banner saying the M6 toll was now open flew overhead. After all the controversy, the building work, not to mention the cost, the true test for the M6 toll comes in the next few weeks. Will it solve or at least help the motorway bottleneck that is the M6? Mark Goff, Central News.
Well, I suppose that is the big question. Will this toll motorway do what it intended to do? There are many who have been saying no from the very start, and there are some who still today do not like the idea of this M6 toll motorway. So now Marcus Bennett reports for Central News at the M6 toll on the people whose lives have been affected most by this new road.
You could say Andrew and Paulette Ross are actually living on both the new M6 toll and the M42. Their house lies metres from the motorways in the village of Curdworth in North Warwickshire. Paulette's views from her office window have now been blighted by an embankment and the tops of lorries. As for Andrew, he's campaigned for the last 30 years to prevent the building of the M6 toll, and today is a nightmare come true.
It's a very sad day. Residents along the length of this road through Staffordshire and Warwickshire have been fighting this for 20, 30 years nearly. It's been a massive blight on our lives, and it's a very sad day, you're quite right, to see it actually happen now.
Mandy Griffiths is yet another casualty of the new toll road. Her farm in Solihull has been cut in half to make way for the motorway.
I don't like it. I want to stay here, but it's not very safe. And I've got 2 children who play up here while I'm with the horses. Anything could happen.
Since the early 90s, protesters have gone to all kinds of lengths to try and stop the building of the BNRR.
This is not doing anything about the real traffic problems in the West Midlands, and they are in the conurbation. And the only way we're going to solve those is actually getting to grips with congestion where it happens in the conurbation by investing in good quality public transport infrastructure.
But today the arguing has to stop. The road is here. If people don't like that, they'll have to move. Marcus Bennett, Central News.
Well, listening to that, Tom Fanning, man at the top at Midland Expressway operators of the M6 toll. Tom, there was opposition from the very start to this road, and there may still be some out there. Does that worry you?
Not at all. I think most of the opposition is now behind us. We're opening today in a limited manner, £2 for the car to use the road. Limited manner, traffic is light for the moment, but by the weekend we'll be fully open, integrated with the M6.
Anybody watching this, arms folded, poker-faced, resolute that they won't pay, try and talk them into it. What will it do for their journeys in the West Midlands?
Well, let me first say it's a question of choice whether you want to use the road or not. But if you want to save approximately 45 minutes, now you can do it. If you want to go up to Manchester or back down to London, want to avoid the angst and misery of using the existing M6, take the M6 toll and you'll save approximately 45 minutes. So it's your choice. If you want to save that time, please do so.
What's your answer to critics who say, before we know where we are, it'll be clogged like any other road in Britain?
Well, my answer to that really is that we want to be a free-flowing alternative to the M6, and we set our pricing structure to just do that. We'll constantly monitor the prices, we'll constantly monitor the traffic that's on the road. We want to convince people that use the road regularly to sign up for our tag accounts with us, and that way they can process their journeys faster and quicker and more efficiently.
I'd love to ask you for a prediction what the M6 is going to be like on Monday morning.
Well, let's see.
OK, fingers crossed. Tom Fanning of Midland Expressway, many thanks. Well, throughout the day we've been asking for your input on both sides of the story, and we want to know what you think on this new pay-and-go motorway. We're calling it our toll poll, and you can have your say right now by voting while we're here on air. So, if you will use Britain's first toll motorway, that's yes, you will use it, then ring 09015 646 131. If you don't fancy the idea, that is no, you will not use it. The number to dial is 09015 646 132. Now, those calls will cost you 10 pence. So far, around a quarter of you do plan to use the M6 toll, with 3/4 of you, or 74%, saying you're going to give it a miss. And we want to know what you think as well about the M6 toll in general. So why don't you text us? You can tap in the word Central, followed by a space, and then add your comment and send it to 888. Remember to add your name and where you are calling from. And we will update you here on the programme a little later tonight with all your views and, of course, the result on that vote. But for now, it's time to head back to Birmingham, out of the cold. For the rest of the day's news, here's Joe and Bob.
Keep warm, Jonathan. Speak to you later. Well, we're moving on to other news now, and amid tight security, 4 men have appeared in court on terrorism charges. The charges include providing and receiving training in the making of explosives and biological and chemical weapons.
But tonight, in an exclusive interview with Central News, the brother of one of the men who faces 12 charges has claimed that he's innocent. Keith Wilkinson reports.
No one got into court today without a frisking, and beyond this line of security was a second search with metal detectors. Hillsowin Magistrates Court was made fortress-like for the appearance of 4 men on terrorism-related charges. In the dock were Usman Chowdhury from Terry Street in Dudley, Umar Ijaz from Caroline Street in Dudley, Madassa Al-Hussan from Teddington Grove in Perry Bar, Birmingham, and Ashad Farid from Luton in Bedfordshire. Behind a glass screen, the 4 defendants were flanked by 4 plain-clothed police officers. Also in the court were more uniformed officers. The district judge, Philip Browning, remanded them all in custody until December the 15th. After the 90-minute hearing, the men were given a police escort away from the court and into custody. They each face different sets of charges. Among the allegations, the receiving and providing of instructions or training in the making of firearms, explosives, chemical and biological weapons. It's claimed they used this house in Dudley. It's alleged they possessed material that could be used for terrorism purposes, computer equipment, videos, training manuals. This is an exclusive video of one of the accused men, Umar Ijaz, at a family wedding. He faces 12 charges, but his family claim he's not a terrorist.
My brother and all the other guys in that dock, they're completely innocent. The stuff that was found on the computer does not belong to them. Umar is a very nice, caring and loving man. I mean, there's 6 of us in my family, and he's the best one.
The case is due to go to the Crown Court for trial next year. Keith Wilkinson, Central News.
Brummie rock legend Ozzy Osbourne remains on a ventilator in a hospital intensive care unit this evening after a quad bike accident. He suffered a cracked vertebra in his neck 8 broken ribs and a broken collarbone. Robin Powell has the latest.
The turbulent life of the Osbournes, the family so fascinating to the rest of us that they gave them their own TV show, has taken a dramatic new twist. Sharon Osbourne has flown in from Los Angeles to comfort husband Ozzy, who's in a stable condition in hospital after a serious quad bike accident on their Buckinghamshire estate. He has a cracked vertebra in his neck, 8 broken ribs, a broken collarbone and a damaged blood vessel.
We've slowly begun the process of getting him off the ventilator. Now this can take several days.
Osbourne, who's 55, was one of 4 men from Aston in Birmingham who formed Black Sabbath, the pioneers of heavy metal. His accident came on the day he released his new single, a duet with daughter Kelly called Changes. The manager of his promotional tour expressed Mrs. Osbourne's gratitude to fans for the concern they've shown.
She really wanted me to wish a thanks to everybody, all the well-wishers for all the messages, all the flowers, all the words of goodwill to Ozzy.
He had hoped to be top of the charts this Christmas, and the accident may even boost his chances. But right now, even Ozzy would probably settle for a quiet Christmas at home with the Osbournes. Robin Powell, Central News.
Well, next this evening, the grey power protest against rising council tax. The village's entire pensioner population say they'd rather go to jail than pay up.
30 OAPs in a village with fewer than 50 houses are protesting against rises of 20%, as Joanne Riddle reports.
Pensioners at Crudgington in Shropshire are taking drastic action following news that Telford and Wrekin Council could raise council tax by up to 20% next year. They'll simply refuse to pay the increase. Ernest and Kathleen Dorset live in a £250,000 house. They receive £582 a month in state pensions, but currently pay £102 council tax. The couple in their 70s say they're being penalised for owning their home.
We've scrimped and saved all our lives to build this house. Why should we have to sell it now when it should go to our daughters when we pass on?
67-year-old joiner Des Smith still works as his son's at university, but hopes to retire in a year. Des and his wife own a £250,000 home and receive £600 in state pensions. They'll receive just £7 from a private pension Des took out in later life. Their council tax is £127 a month.
Here we find ourselves paying, I don't know what the percentages are, but far larger taxes than I've ever known in my lifetime.
Importantly, we want to discuss it with the government, because the way the government grant system is working will force us to either have a very high council tax increase or some massive cuts in services.
The pensioners here in Crudgington say they'll pay their current council tax bills next year, but they won't be prepared to pay the increased amount. What they may add is any small rise the government gives them in their state pensions. Joanne Riddle, Central News.
A fresh appeal has been made by police to catch the killer of barmaid Linda Cook just 5 months after a Midland man was cleared of her murder. Marvin Cole reports.
Michael Shirley walking free from court after his murder conviction was quashed. He'd spent 16 years in jail. And Central News was there to reunite him with his family from Leamington Spa. An extraordinary journey for everyone. Barmaid Linda Cook's body was found in Portsmouth 17 years ago today, and this morning Hampshire Police announced they're reopening the murder inquiry.
We are aided by some DNA evidence. Over the coming weeks and months, officers from the inquiry team will be approaching people to sample their DNA for elimination purposes. The purpose of this conference is to appeal to members of the public. It was a long time ago, but I think people still may well remember incidents that occurred back in 1986. It's also possible that they may have moved away from Portsmouth or from the area, so it's really a national appeal.
Police have confirmed that Mr. Shirley isn't a suspect in this case and that they are confident new evidence will lead to the real killer. Marvin Cole, Central News.
Time now for our second visit to Birmingham Children's Hospital, where staff are working hard to give children a true taste of Christmas.
Yes, in the kitchens they'll be serving 2,000 turkey dinners. But as Jonathan Ray discovered, busy fellow, festive recipes aren't always ideal for tiny taste buds.
Yes, hello again from the Christmas Hospital. I'm at the Diana, Princess of Wales Hospital in the very heart of Birmingham. And of course, Christmas is a very important time if you like your food. And there's nothing better than a delicious, succulent bird, nicely carved with some Brussels, boiled to your mother-in-law's recipe, 3 days in the pot. And here, they take food very seriously. But for some children, Christmas food has to be a careful affair.
James Riot from Hall Green in Birmingham is 7 now, but when he was a toddler, he had a violent reaction to nuts. He's not eaten any since.
Well, it had some sesame seeds in, which is a type of nut, and that's how I got really allergic to it.
Luckily, we were only 2 minutes down the road from the doctor, so he was only 2.5, so I just scooped him up in my arms and just ran up to the doctors. I mean, I was concerned because I didn't know, because his eyes flared up and he couldn't see out of them.
And it can grow to swelling of the eyes, and then obviously the mouth in the airway, which is a very big reaction. It's called anaphylaxis reaction, and that's very serious and needs to be treated straight away.
So now, in the weeks before Christmas, James is here to test the violence of any residual reaction and to see if his allergy has subsided. Nurse Gail Blackwood will undertake a carefully controlled test to see just how James can cope when exposed to peanuts.
Get a little bit of the peanut, okay? Now I'm just going to rub this on your lip. Alright. I'm going to leave it for 20 minutes, and if you have a reaction after 20 minutes, then we'll stop the challenge. And if you don't, then you have to eat some peanuts for me.
Down in the kitchens, a more traditional menu is occupying the chefs.
It's traditional roast turkey with all the trimmings, fresh vegetables, Christmas pudding, or a choice of gâteau.
You must have to peel 2,000 Christmas dinners. You must have about 10,000 Brussels, do you?
The staff are very good. They come in early and they stay at night to prepare all the vegetables to make sure that everything's done on time.
But children won't eat Brussels, will they?
No. Well, we have a choice of 3 vegetables for the children, so that those that don't like Brussels can have another vegetable.
Bye.
James's lip hasn't swollen, so it's now time to eat a little fragment of peanut.
Pop it in your mouth. What do you think of that? Okay. Doesn't taste horrid? No, quite nice.
We've got a little boy upstairs called James who's being tested for food allergies. Now, he's not big on nuts, so he said instead of chestnut stuffing, would you stuff a turkey with chocolate and jelly sweets?
We will indeed. We don't use nuts here at all anyway.
Which is a good thing, because in spite of his sunny demeanour, James is showing adverse reaction and the test is scrapped.
I started coughing and sneezing, and so and I was rubbing my eyes.
James heads for Hall Green in the knowledge that Christmas cake, shop-bought mince pies and anything nutty will forever be out of bounds. His mum knows to be vigilant.
Yeah, a lot of the kids miss out on the things that they want to eat at this time of year, so it's a shame.
Well, whether James gets his turkey stuffed with jelly sweets and chocolate, we'll have to see. But for now, that's it from Christmas Hospital. Thanks for joining us here. We'll see you tomorrow, and this is what we'll have for you.
Keeping Keenan out of hospital and why he's worth it.
He's gorgeous, he's cute, he's funny.
And we're in the schoolroom, making baubles.
Back with Jonathan this time tomorrow. Let's have a look at today's big sports stories. The Football Association is reviewing footage of Leicester's match with Arsenal from the weekend and are considering extra disciplinary action against Ashley Cole. The England defender already faces a ban after being sent off for an horrific challenge on the Leicester City defender Ben Thatcher. But Thatcher could also face charges for allegedly stamping on Freddie Ljungberg's wrist. Steve Lambden has the story.
Cole's two-footed lunge on Thatcher during Saturday's draw at the Walker Stadium brought an instant red card and a 3-match ban. But the FA may increase that punishment because of Cole's refusal to leave the field quickly enough. He became involved in a heated exchange with Leicester defender Steve Howe, who called the tackle cowardly. Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger, who has seen 53 Arsenal players dismissed since he took over, predictably says he'll take no action against Cole. But he is happy that the FA might discipline Thatcher for treading on Freddie Ljungberg's hand in an earlier incident. Thatcher has a bruised and swollen shin and almost certainly won't play against Birmingham on Saturday.
Well, meanwhile, the draw specialists of the First Division met last night. Sunderland, with 7 draws so far this season, were the visitors to Highfield Road, while before last night, 10 of Coventry's games had finished all square. I bet you can guess what the result was. Certainly wasn't a surprise. Familiar start to a game at Highfield Road. Arker allowed to run unchallenged. Stuart Downing shaped a cross, dummied the marker and scored underneath Gavin Ward's body. Player manager Gary McAllister's searching ball set up Coventry's goal on 21 minutes. Julian Joachim beat Mark Poom to the ball. The goalkeeper brought him down and was lucky to escape with a yellow, though he did present McAllister with the chance of another penalty. On some things, you can always rely. Another draw. Coventry's 8th in 10 starts was overshadowed by a tackle by Yusuf Safri that left Colin Healy, once on loan at Coventry, needing treatment. Sunderland's manager Mick McCarthy wasn't impressed. McAllister defended his players, saying there was no intent in Safri's tackle. It's been confirmed that Healy's fractured his lower right leg and he was kept in hospital overnight.
That's the sport, and if you've just got in, our top story tonight is the opening of the M6 toll. We've been asking you if you would pay to drive on it, and Jonathan Ray has the result of that phone poll for us now. Back at the M6 toll, Jonathan.
Indeed I do. As a car drives up to one of the toll booths here, we were asking whether you would be prepared to pay for the privilege of using the M6 toll road. Well, it narrowed the gap while we were on air. Initially, a quarter of you said you would, 3/4 of you said you wouldn't. Tonight, 35% of you say yes, you would be prepared to pay. 65% say no, so it's gone down to a third, 2/3 against. Thanks for all your calls. On the texts, Errol from Hensford contacted us. He said that he thinks it is ridiculous to pay for the toll road because we're already paying road tax. We had a text from Dave Lloyd, Central News viewer in Wrexham. He said it's just one big rip-off and it's just a matter of time before they charge on all our motorways. But Nigel in Hinckley said he thinks the road is a good idea, but if the government is serious about beating congestion, then it should be free. Well, earlier today, Alistair Darling, the Secretary of State for Transport, told me that the government was widening the M1 sections of the M25. That, of course, comes out of our taxes, but they will not be toll roads. But until this morning, he was always insistent that there wouldn't be any more toll roads. But he left here saying that if this works, it could be a possibility. So we've got the first toll road in Britain. Will it be the last, and will it work on Monday? From the toll, back to you guys.
The cold M6 toll. Jonathan, thanks for excellent coverage today. Bob, £2 for cars, £1 for bikes. Are you going to use it?
I certainly am. I think of all the hours I've spent sitting on the M6 stationary, I'll be there.
Me too. That's all from us for tonight. I'll be back with late news, which is about 10 to 10 tonight. See you then.
Good night.
Central weather with BMIBaby.com.
Hi there. Well, the first night for driving on the new toll road coincides with one of the worst weather nights, hazardous driving conditions, fog fairly dense in parts through tonight, and it could well be freezing fog in pockets because some places it's going to get down as low as 0. A patchy frost for all of us, but more important, this fog becoming fairly dense as we go towards morning, so still dodgy for tomorrow morning's rush hour, but gradually through the morning some bright spells will poke through that mist and murk and turn into a very pleasant day and mild in any sunshine, but there will be 1 or 2 pockets where that fog lingers through the day, and where it does could be anywhere in the region. Temperatures will struggle somewhere around 2 or 3 Celsius, so fairly cold there. But whilst we're enjoying a dry day, foggy or sunny, there is going to be rain pushing down from the northwest, and we'll see that get here through tomorrow night and lingering through Thursday, and then a short gap before more wet and windy weather comes our way for Friday. So enjoy any sun you see tomorrow, but be careful of that fog. Bye-bye.
The Central 10-day weather line. Call 09069 19 14 19. Central weather with BMIBaby.com, the airline with tiny fares.
If you've been overcharged or misdiagnosed while seeking medical treatment abroad and feel aggrieved, Scam, ITV1's Consumer Affairs programme, would like to hear from you. Call free phone 0800 328 5678 or email us on scam@carltontv.co.uk.
Hercule Poirot, mademoiselle.
You haven't heard his name in a while.
It was a long time ago, yes.
You haven't been able to guess who done it.
Story most tragic.
To keep you longer from such pleasure would be criminal.
Yes.
So Belgium's legendary detective returns.
Murder?
I have to know the truth, monsieur.
And if the truth is not what you wish to hear?
David Suchet stars in a brand new mystery.
Someone had murder in mind.
Agatha Christie's Poirot. Sunday at 9. ITV1.
Lots of Champions League football tonight. Chelsea on ITV2 now. Man U live here on ITV1 from 7:30.
Paying up to dodge the snarl up, Britain's first motorway toll.
We shouldn't look at a different way of charging drivers, perhaps on the basis of the distance they travel.
Another knee operation for the Queen. She's back in hospital later this week.
Ozzy Osbourne in intensive care after